I just saw the funniest thing that I have seen all year. I'm pretty sure all of you know about My Hero Academia. Even if you don't watch anime, you probably have heard about it. I mean, here in Romania, I went to a bookstore to buy a present for my fiance, and there were a couple of high school girls there buying My Hero Academia merchandise. And I find it a little bit sad, to be honest, because this is what Marvel should be doing. Like right now, people should buy Marvel merchandise with X-Men because this is their shtick. I mean, Marvel did it first. It's like a high school with superheroes and they're facing high school problems. That's the X-Men. But unfortunately, Marvel doesn't have good talented writers anymore. So I guess Japan managed to pick up the slack and you now have My Hero Academia. And it's very popular. But unfortunately, with everything that's popular, progressives will ask for diversity, which is kind of silly because if you think about it, anime actually did LGBT representation way before the West. I remember Sailor Moon when I grew up. You had Sailor Mars and Sailor Venus, and they were lesbians. But the show didn't do a big deal about it. It was like, okay, they're lesbians, but it wasn't in your face. It wasn't being stuffed down your throat. So it's pretty much the same with other representation in anime. Like, for example, Attack on Titan also has lesbians in it, but they don't make a big deal. They don't make a big fuss, right? So because of that, most people in the West, they don't think anime does representation. They don't really think, because if it's not in your face, if it's not being stuffed down your throat, if they don't have like marketing campaigns showing, hey, do you know like this character is gay? They don't consider that to be a representation, right? So funny enough, like they've been asking for My Hero Academia to do the representation. Now the problem with My Hero Academia is that they have heroes that are very flawed. So the way they do it is that they create heroes that no one would like in order to see if they can have a redemption arc. So, for example, they even have a wife beater as a superhero, and they try to give this redemption arc to him. And Marvel also did this back in the day with Tony Stark. So Iron Man would represent everything that the current culture despised. He was a weapon manufacturer, he was an alcoholic, he was a billionaire, he was part of the capitalist class, like literally everything that the left despised. And this was a superhero that would then try to go through redemption arc and try to become popular. And it's a very popular hero, right? Iron Man. And this is what My Hero Academia does with its heroes. So asking for representation in a show like this is like you're asking for trouble. You're literally asking to receive it. And they did. And apparently this is the character which is bisexual. And the reason it's hilarious is because this is a joke character. So he is incredibly perverted. He is the type of character that looks through the keyhole in order to see the naked girls in the locker room. I mean, this is a very, very flawed character. And now, of course, progressives utterly hate it. And the reason they hate it is because they don't really care about representation. They care about concepts. Like for them, they're not happy to see like a bisexual character on the screen. No, like they want the purity that comes with the bisexuality. They want the innocence that comes with the bisexuality. And this is exactly what I've been saying all along. It's like diversity ruins stories. Not because like having a bisexual character in an anime would ruin anything. But the problem comes with having a bisexual character that is now fragile. It's like a porcelain in a china shop. You have to treat it with care. You need to make sure that these characters don't go through any hardship, because we saw like in the 100, the show directors would get death threats after they had to kill one of the actresses who had her contract terminated because she just moved on to a different show. So they had to kill her character in that show. And then you had like an entire hashtag like called Bury the Gays because she was a lesbian. And it's like, oh my God, like these showrunners, they just kill gay characters left and right. And they're so homophobic and blah, blah, blah. And the writers got death threats because of it. Now, you don't hear that in the press because it's the correct people doing the death threats. If it was like right-wingers doing it, you'd hear it right away. But when the left does it, it's usually buried under the algorithm. So my point is, like, you can't really have interesting characters then, because all these characters that happen to be part of the LGBT community, or all these characters that get woke washed, they need to be treated with care. They can't have flaws. They can't be assholes. And it makes for boring characters. It makes for Mary or Gary Sues. It makes for characters that you can't really have in a thriller, because I go, okay, well, this is the black guy. I know for sure that in today's day and age, if a progressive writ the show, then the black guy isn't going to die, right? Because that would be problematic. And if you don't really care and you don't get invested in the character because you know that they're safe, then, well, you don't really get immersed into the story. Like, let me give you another example. You will always know in a movie, if a character uses an Apple phone, that is a good character. Why? Because Apple as a company doesn't allow characters in movie to use their product if they're evil. I'm not kidding. Like, that's actually a thing. So whenever you see a movie like, an ambiguous character that might be good or bad using an Apple phone, well, you know that it's a good character. So it's like a spoiler. And it's the same thing when the West does representation. It's like, okay, well, if it's a gay character, to me, it's a spoiler that it's a good character. Very rarely will they use like the villain or the monstrous character that has like irredeemable traits to be part of the LGBT or to be non-white. In fact, like you even get access sometimes to scripts. Like, for example, with the Powerpuff Girl movie, like the script was leaked. And all the races of the Powerpuff Girls was like, you can use whatever race you want. It didn't matter if you casted like an Asian Powerpuff Girl or if you casted a black Powerpuff Girl. It didn't matter. The only character that had its race locked in was Mojo Jojo. And Mojo Jojo had to be a white guy, right? Because he's, the son of Mojo Jojo. The son of Mojo Jojo had to be a white guy according to the script, because that's how they write it, right? Because if you have like the cis straight white guy, then you can have bad things happen to him, or you can have him have a more interesting character, because you're not going to get the outrage on the Twitter. And I'm going to go through a live stream, just going through the salt here, because like there is just so much salt, so much salt. I mean, it is it is very funny, and like, especially because they're like, oh, why did they cast him? Why did they cast him? And it's like, okay, so you're saying like bisexual people, I guess, especially this is my favorite one. Why would you make Mineta bi when she's right there? It's like, well, to subvert your expectation. How about that? What about subverting your expectation? You liked it when the Star Wars fandom had their expectations subverted. Well, there you go. You didn't expect that now, did you? Oh, that is such an excellent way of subverting your expectation. And you get to see like mountains upon mountains of people crying about it. And it even makes a scene even more funny, because you have Mineta saying, Bakugo, don't tell me your tastes run in that direction. So now it's actually funnier. But what's interesting is like you get to see so many people into social justice that use My Hero Academia avatars. And these are like the people with pronouns in the bio that try to get others fired. They try to get other people canceled or flagged or whatever. And they are so livid right now, because for once, I think this is something they genuinely care about. Like, they probably didn't care about Star Wars, but they genuinely care about it, which is why they're so angry, right? Because you can't get angry if you don't care about something. And I guess I should go and tell them, hey, it's just a cartoon, bro. Why do you get so upset? Get a life. Get a life. Why are you an incel and you care about cartoons? Why can't you grow up? Why can't you mature? You know, the fandom matured. Why can't you? Like, we are mature enough in order to accept that this character is bisexual. Why can't you? Just accept it. Just accept it and grow up. Stop being such an incel. Huh? Like, isn't this what we should tell them? Because that's what they would tell us if we don't like how Tila was represented, or how He-Man and the makers of the universe are being represented. Like, they're the first ones to complain and throw accusations if you don't like a show. Why? Because they don't care about the franchise. But they definitely care about this franchise, and they're definitely upset that this happened. So, you know what? I'm glad that their expectations were subverted. How about that? Because at the end of the day, I really don't care about any of this. I mean, they can make all of the cast of My Hero Academia LGBT and I wouldn't care. As long as they maintain the spirit of the show, as long as they don't stuff it down your throat, I'm fine with it. But they care, like they're really, really invested into this, and they're very emotional. So what we have here is a rare opportunity where you get to feel like a social justice activist and ask people on forums. It's like, oh, why do you get so emotionally invested into this? It's just a cartoon. Grow up. Why are you so toxic? Why are you so obnoxious about it? And the reason that I would do this isn't because like I want to be a mean person, or like I get catharsis from doing it. But what I do hope is that if you do it to at least 100 of these fans, at least one of them, maybe, I don't know, maybe I'm hoping, but at least one of them would realize, hey, I didn't like it when someone did it to me, when I cared about the character. So maybe I shouldn't do it to other people who care about Star Wars, or who care about He-Man and the makers of the universe, or who care about Thundercats, or who care about Ghostbusters, or any of these other franchises. Maybe I shouldn't tell them, hey, it's just a cartoon, because they really care about that franchise, and they don't want to see it ruined. So that's my take on it. Let me know what you guys think in the comment section, and I'll see you all there. Oh, and by the way, I kept the best for last because I want to see just how many people don't watch until the end of the video and they get to embarrass themselves on the forum. Like we're going to laugh at people who embarrass themselves, right? It is possible that Mineta is not actually bi. There is this possibility, and this possibility comes from the translation in the latest manga, where he says that he admires Boku. However, it is also possible that the same translation can mean fell for him, as in fell in love with him. Now, I don't really care, to be honest. Why? Because to me it's irrelevant, and there is just so much salt over this. Like, just like pages after pages after pages on Twitter on salt. And it goes to show how the progressives actually think. Right? They don't really care about representation. What they want is ideology. So they don't really care about like sexuality as something that can be inherited to any person. No, they just want the correct people to inherit it. I guess the meek shall inherit the earth type of ideology. Now do let me know what you think in the comment section, and I'll see you all there.